People keep clutter in their house. Get rid of the stuff that doesn't need to be there.
I'm offended. I feel offended when you say that, but keep going.
Yeah.
And selling as is isn't necessarily a mistake, but what it is it doesn't drive max value. All right, we're here with the top 12 home selling mistakes with Keith. So Keith, talk us through, what would you say the number one home selling mistake is?
Well, we're in the business. If you're working alone, that's the biggest mistake you guys can make.
Why would you say working alone is a mistake?
The value of your home. If you're working alone, it typically, on median, houses sell about $225,000 versus working with an agent, it's at least an increase of $100,000.
$100,000 to have an agent?
Median.
Wow, median. That's a lot. That's a big price difference.
Yep.
All right, what about number two?
People, they want to wait to sell. They think that it's a perfect time to sell in early spring or early fall, but we're here year round, and sometimes when the market is at a different point, like in winter, the lack of homes means you might be able to get more value out of it.
Yes, and what you get in winter buyers, especially here in the Midwest, is you get very serious people.
Yes.
Right, and so depending on what your situation is, having maybe less showings of more serious people is actually better, because if you have kids and dogs and busy schedules and all that sort of stuff, more serious people less often actually benefits you a lot.
Rather
right?
have 5 serious buyers as opposed to foot traffic of 30 and nobody makes an offer.
100%. So what would you say another mistake is?
Pricing it too high. You want to invite as many people into your home as possible, and looking at your price point. If it's way above what the area is, people just keep on going.
Yes, because they don't believe you to be serious. In reality, if you price it right, it can sometimes drive the price up. If you price it high, I've heard this, I've been on a lot of listing appointments, right? They'll say, well, let's start it high, that way they can negotiate to a certain number. It's like, no. Price it right, and then the negotiations drive your price up or drive your terms up, right? Yep. And so, and I understand the logic of why people do that, but the reality of the way it works is not that way. The reality of the way it works is you price it right, you drive maximum demand, that demand can then drive your price up. The other way around, if you maybe get one buyer who's lowballing you, you don't have any leverage.
No leverage, so, and you want to try and create some sort of bidding war.
Yeah, and people feel value. No one feels value more than the buyer and the buyer's agent that have walked the properties in that price range, in that area. They walk into that house, they instantly feel value, or they instantly feel no value, right? And so when you price it too high, they're walking in and they're like, well, the last one we looked at had a more updated kitchen or a bigger yard or those sort of things, right? What else?
Selling it as is. You want to try and do some sort of updates if possible. People, they want to walk into as close of a turnkey as possible. If you're selling it as is, you're only going to be getting the investors that want to try and flip.
Yeah, and so this is says mistakes. And selling as is isn't necessarily a mistake, but what it is it doesn't drive max value.
Yes,
right?
Exactly.
So now for some people, they don't. I went on one listing appointment. The guy's like, "This is the third house I've inherited this year. Just get rid of it." Right? Didn't want to deal with it. Good problem in some ways.
Yes.
Usually that means 3 people pass away in his life, which isn't a good thing. But nice to have 3 assets come into your life. And so he just wanted it gone. Right? Most money wasn't his priority. That said, if you want to maximize your exit, you want to take care of as many deferred maintenance issues, those sort of things, right?
Sometimes a new roof, it might be $15,000 out of your pocket, but create $25,000 in value.
Or get the offer itself. You know what I mean? Because sometimes someone will be like, well, I don't want to put a roof on this. I'm not going to make an offer. Right? Okay. What else?
People keep clutter in their house. You want to try and get rid of the stuff that doesn't need to be there.
I'm offended. I feel offended when you say that, but keep going.
Yeah, just make sure that you get rid of the stuff, that stack of papers. Just because you have some empty space, it doesn't mean that that's something that has to be there. People's eyes need to rest when they're scanning in a room.
Yeah, I always tell our sellers, clean and tidy go a long way. Clean and tidy sometimes go further than a new bathroom, because when people walk in, they're like, well, I can update the bathroom, but this place looks like it has deferred maintenance, and it might not even. It's just dirty, or it's just cluttered, right? So, and people have a hard time seeing past that. What else?
They don't depersonalize their house. People, when they walk into their new house or home, they want to be able to picture themselves in it. They don't want to see the people that are previous buyers or previous owners.
Yeah, I would say less eccentric, right? I mean, if you have a picture of you and your kids, that's not the end of the world. But if you have a room, I went on one listing appointment, and an entire wall was crosses. Right? And I'm like, hey, listen, like a couple of crosses is cool, but the whole wall is going to cause all the buyers to walk in and only think about that and not think about the rest, right? So let's de-eccentritize. Is that a word?
It's close
enough. Let's add it to the sauce. It's in there now.
You know, one room that people don't want them to focus on. You want them to see the full square footage in the house.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you want them to focus on everything, not just one thing. What else?
Skipping major repairs, like we were talking about with the roof earlier, that's something that if you can take care of it, a lot of times you can be the person that negotiates the terms with the repairman, as opposed to maybe having to give credits on the back end during negotiation, and then they're in charge of picking who the person is.
Yeah, you're in the driver's seat when you get the stuff done. What else?
Cutting costs on photography. You want to, pictures and video is the first thing that people see, whether it's through the MLS or some of these marketing sites. If you have a very professional way of displaying your home, it will show in droves to everybody that wants to take a look at it.
Early in my career, I used to always find ridiculous photos on the MLS, especially at luxury houses.
Oh, we still do. We still do.
Right. So I would go and screenshot those and put an MLS photo of the day. And I remember $1 million listings with, like, you know, back then iPhones weren't quite as good with pictures, but right. And so you could tell, and it was just like this orb through the window, and you couldn't even see the kitchen. Right. And yeah, like you said, you only have one chance to make a first impression. And Keith's heard me say this a lot. The world experiences things digitally first today, physically second. So a part of that digital experience to then decide whether you opt into the physical experience is your photography and the way in which the home is presented, right? And so
it will also create more foot traffic. If people see an appealing home just through the first couple pictures, they won't always go through all 40, but they'll take a look and they'll say, oh, that family room looks great. That kitchen looks great. And that will drive traffic into the house.
One of my favorite things is when I get feedback from buyers that say the photos were better than the house. Because I'm like, I did my job, right? Yes. Yeah, I put that thing in the best possible light, you know. And they got in there and they were like, this isn't what I thought it was going to be. But I did the best job possible of presenting the best digital experience, right? To then get the foot traffic, and then they decided to opt out. I can't control the condition of the home. I only can control how it's presented. I can encourage, I can persuade, I can do those things, but I can't actually spend the seller's money, right? So what else?
Hiding problems. Legally, you're obligated to explain everything that the house has gone through. Say you had a couple inches of water in the basement, you have to disclose that something has happened with the basement. It might not declare that there's an actual issue with it, but you have to make sure you say what has happened with the house. Hey, you've had a leaky roof. Hey, there's something with the foundation that we did 5 years ago. If you don't, you're opening yourself up to legal problems.
Yeah, I always say over disclose. And then you have less opportunity for litigation. Or if you do get the litigation, it's an open shut thing because you did your disclosures, right? So what else? Being
unavailable. I mean, you're the one that wants to sell your home. You should be available to make sure that that happens. If you just say, no, I can't because I'm home this day, you're decreasing your foot traffic. And quite honestly, it's a great way to say, hey, let's take a 4-day weekend. Let's allow as much traffic 100%. To come in, spend some time with family, or go see the aunt and uncle you haven't seen in a while.
Yeah, I always tell people you can consider the first 3 days as basically one long open house. Right? So just consider it one long open house because you're going to get that initial rush. If we picked the right price and did the right marketing, you get that initial rush. So just go somewhere else. You know, and hopefully you come back to us having offers.
Right? No, exactly. That's the best problem.
If you come back to us not having offers, then we missed, you know, so go take the weekend and enjoy. What else?
People that are unwilling to negotiate. Just because you put a price point, that doesn't mean that's the hard, firm line that it has to be at. Negotiation is part of the process, and that's something that we are experts at.
Yeah, hard and long, people will walk away, right? And so if you stand your ground too much, people walk away. And again, the best, this goes back to pricing it right, the best way to negotiate is to have multiple parties you're negotiating with, right? And if you start high, you don't have multiples, right? So, okay, what's the last one?
Probably the most important, do not let your emotions get the best of you. When that happens, you're gonna be raw, you're not gonna have a clear head to think with. And I've seen it before. It happens. People just walk away because of emotions getting in the way.
Yeah, I had one where people were fighting over a used dryer, which I knew was like $250. I ended up just paying the $250. And I don't always offer up commission, but at that point it was just like, this is ridiculous. And so, you know, you've gone wrong in negotiating when anyone says the line, it's the principle of it. You know, there's no principle of it because everyone comes from a different background and has different styles of negotiating, right? So, like at the end of the day, know what you need to get to that number, and how you got there is somewhat irrelevant. That's my 2 cents. So, all right, well, that's your 12 tips to home selling mistakes. If you want to avoid those mistakes, go ahead and give us a call. We can match you up with a great agent like Keith. Thank you.